Okaeri-na-san, Okaeri-nasai. Hey everyone, it's been a minute. I apologize for that. It's been a bit of a tough week for fellow men of culture who have good taste in entertainers. Let's just put it that way, right? But enough of that sad crap, right? It's time to get into the news, the important news, the game news. Am I right? Hell yeah, brothers. Also, even aside from all the sad stuff, I also tripped and fell while jogging, and it completely busted up my hand. My right hand specifically. You see, I'm actually a genius because when I was falling, I was like, all right, the concrete's right in front of me and the grass is to my right. So anything that gets me to the right would be a benefit. You would think, but unfortunately, reality isn't always so kind. I did save my face and my legs, but my right hand did all of the work pushing myself to my right when I fell. So anyway, right hand's mostly fine now, just still a couple of gaping wounds that have mostly healed, just a little bruised at this point. All that nerd stuff, all that lame injuries and all that, all taken care of. We're back. We're better than ever. We're motivated, baby. Yeah. This would be actually a good time to plug this because I never really do because I don't really like to. But I do, in fact, have a Twitter account that is in the description. And you can use that to keep an eye on me, you know? You ever play RPGs with a DDR pad? It's really random, but no. Does it work? I mean, I guess it could, right? Why not? Anyway, well, I contemplate that question, or rather the logistics of that possibility of playing one with that. I guess it wouldn't be that hard. RPGs don't typically require a lot of buttons. I forget what I was saying. I don't know. Point being, I'm back. Hand is working now, and you can follow my Twitter. If you want to know why I wasn't streaming for a week, it was partially because of that. So there you go. All right. Know a girl that streams Dark Souls on DDR pad. I saw. Is that the same girl? That I guess it was the same girl. Because I was thinking of someone that streamed Dark Souls with like the Guitar Hero thing, but no, that was a guy who like won a world record. I think the girl who streamed the Dark Souls on the DDR pad, she also broke a world record for something, right? Maybe? I don't know. Point is, she did on DDR pad. That was pretty base. Anyway, let's get right into the news, right? There's not a lot to talk about this week. E3 is over, and there's still a couple of niche little things getting announced here and there. You did. That's still fucked up, man. So sorry to hear that. But yeah, not a lot was announced this week. But that's honestly fine. I was kind of tired of going over like 1,000 different game announcements, and we're gonna get into more normal weeks now that E3 season is over. Mostly we're gonna be talking about game companies, I find, just because there's mainly Sony and Microsoft, as a couple of interesting things happened to them the past week, and in Sony's case, actually, the past couple of days. But there's some other things I want to get out of the way, too. So, first piece of news. Yosha. All right. So, Nier Automata shipments and digital sales top 6 million. Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139 tops 1 million. So this is, we're just gonna get these feel-good stories out of the way real quick in the front of the headlines. Because 1, they're nice, and 2, they make me feel happy, and 3, shut up, look at my boy. look at my boy and girl there in that headline. They did good. Nier Replicant sold over 1 million, which is crazy for a series that used to be as niche as it was, you know. Now it's a 1 million seller IP. It's crazy to me, like, genuinely. It's one of how do I stress this? Yakuza games, those are popular, you like to think, right? They don't get 1 million sales. A lot of games, like for AAA games, usually a million sales is actually considered pretty shite. But for AA games or like a lower budget games like this, a million sales, dude, let alone 6 million for Nier Automata, that's just crazy, dude. And it's lovely to see because these games are fantastic. I need to get back to streaming the one on the left there. It's been a minute. But yeah, completely well-deserved, I think. These games are masterpieces, even if their PC ports aren't. Hey, I believe Nier Replicant actually got, speaking of that, an update to its PC version not that long ago. So, which was surprising, because that's faster than Nier Automata ever got a patch. In fact, Nier Automata still hasn't gotten its patch, so we're still waiting on that one. But regardless of that, excuse me. Hell yeah, brother. Fucking love Nier, and Yoko Taro puts in a lot of work, and it's great to see. It's just, this is just lovely to see, you know? It's just lovely to see hard work pay off like this. Speaking of, well, I'm not sure if I would consider this hard work necessarily, but it's more just like we told you so kind of news coming up next. But it's also related to sales. The Persona series tops 15 million. Persona 5 Royale at 1.8 million. Persona 5 Strikers at 1.3 million, which is actually much more than I expected for that spin-off game. And Persona 4 Golden for PC at 900,000. It's actually an update here. Oh, sorry. According to Atlas West, Persona 4 Golden for PC has sold over 1 million. Over 1 million. So, like, this part, the series topping 50 million part, that's not surprising. Persona 5 Royale at 1.8 million, not surprising. Persona 5 Strikers 1.3 million, kind of surprising, but not that surprising. It was a sequel, so to speak, of Persona 5, right? So again, not that surprising. But what is surprising is, or maybe it's both. It's not surprising to me, but I'm assuming it must be surprising to Atlas, because this part, to reiterate, or to give backstory, I should say, Persona 4 Golden was exclusive to the PS Vita for almost over a decade, right? Actually, maybe not a decade. Has it been over a decade? No. Yes? I think the Vita port came out in, like, what, 2013, I want to say? Or maybe 2014? Maybe it was later than that. I mean, I could just Google. We have access to the infinite world of the internet. Persona... I can't type. Persona 4G release. I think it was, like, almost well over a decade. I can't type, dude. Holy shit. At this point. Oh, my keyboard's off-centered. That's why. All right, there we go. So Persona 4 was released in 2008, but I want to look up Golden, please. I guess I didn't take the 4G as that. 2012. It has been. It has almost actually been a decade, dude. That baffles my mind on multiple levels, that they let one of their most popular, like, company-defining games lay dormant as a Vita exclusive. Its enhanced edition with more features. Lay dormant as a Vita exclusive for until this didn't come out till 2020, right? It stayed exclusive for almost like almost 10 years, dude, on the Vita. It baffles my mind that it's crazy to me, basically. I can't get over it, because it seems so, like, yeah, no shit, if you finally port one of your most beloved games to a platform that people actually own, you'll make money. Over 1 million units, dude. That's as much. That's coming close to as much as Persona 5 Strikers, your big budget game sold on multiple platforms. That was a sequel to, like, one of your most popular games, or if not your most popular game ever, which is Persona 5. like it's crazy to me, dude. It's absolutely crazy to me that they just, like, even if not even just porting it to PC, if they ported it to literally anything, it would have done well. But PC obviously has a very untapped market when it comes to Atlus games, and I think they're well aware of that now, especially after seeing this amazing success. You know, like it just kills me, dude. Obviously, Persona is all now. It's always been more popular than SMT because of Persona 3 and especially Persona 4, right? But it's crazy to me that, but they know that, right? And it just fucking baffles my mind that they don't port it like anywhere. Like yeah, PC isn't that popular in Japan. I would contest that it's getting more popular in Japan, right? In my opinion, at the very least, amongst like basically amongst people who play on or I guess I shouldn't even say Xbox, on next gen machines or PS4, I'd say it's becoming more popular amongst those audiences, whereas like Nintendo has like its own market over there at this point, right? But we'll get into that later when we get in the P4A port, though. Don't make me cry, dude. I'm gonna think about that every night. I would love Persona 4 Arena port so much, dude. I love that game. We're never gonna get though. Well, I guess never say never, but I wouldn't hold out hope. The Persona 4 Golden port's okay from what I hear. It's fine. It's not perfect. None of Atlus's ports are really good. But my point is, like, what I was trying to say earlier was that, like you said, PC still isn't that popular in Japan, but it's undeniable that this game is popular, and it would have been popular if you re-released it on literally anything. And Atlus has this weird agenda against re-releases, I guess, which is kind of nice because I don't like companies that just rely on old software all the time. But it was a Vita exclusive. I can't stress this enough. Why would you leave it on the Vita for almost a decade? So no shit, it sold well. If you posted it. If you delivered it on any platform, it would have sold well. But I'm personally glad they put it on PC because I like to see Japan experiment with that platform more because it's my personal preferred platform. And yeah, they do absolutely beat bad remakes because at the very least, a good re-release just helps preserve a game. You know. Yeah, fucking crazy. I mean, I'm not. It's not crazy that this sold well. It's fucking crazy that Atlus is still the way they are. But and that if they're at all surprised by this, it's like you're an idiot. Honestly, like God bless whatever genius over at Atlus was like, I'm going to fucking do. I remember reading an article. I don't know if this was actually true, but someone at Atlus was like almost a single individual was responsible for this PC port because like, I'm just gonna make this because I know it will sell and I'm gonna prove a point. And then they made it, and it's like, sure enough, it's fucking sold, right? So at least on the Wii U missed out on a ton of sales. Well, yeah, but you know what? Did the Wii U do worse? The Vita did well in Japan, ish in Japan. The Wii U didn't. So I guess by that logic, it was better to put it on the Vita than the Wii U. But what I mean is, like, how come it never came to PS4? You know what I mean? Like they made the Vita port and then they were just... I can't really clap my hands together right now because my one hand's busted. But they just kind of like washed their hands of it and then that was it, right? They didn't touch it again for a decade. That's what baffles me, you know? But again, whatever. Congrats to the Persona series. It's well earned, and congrats to Atlus for finally realizing that they should put their very popular games on platforms people own. In fact, this is probably part of the reason that we got the SMT3 re-release, which is also apparently a terrible re-release with a bunch of issues, but you know, it's a feel like that. For sure, but like I just don't understand, you know? Like, why not? Especially with the PS4 and Vita, because those platforms were treated like at the beginning at least, like they were like they had like this weird creepy synergy or connection, like one was meant to be complement the other or something like that. That was what they were trying to go for to salvage it in the West. It didn't work, but that's what Sony tried, right? So yeah, it's just weird that they never bothered. We have to move on from this. I could rant about this all day, but I'm just going to keep repeating myself over and over again. Once again, just congrats, dude. And I hope to see more PC ports or just ports in general of these beloved games in the future. Speaking of ports... You're 1 in a million there, Luckstrick. Speaking of PC ports, Melty Blood. Okay, so Melty Blood Type Lumina is the brand new entry of the Melty Blood series, which is, I think it's a fighting game series that doesn't it take place in like the Fate universe or something like that? Honestly, I don't really know or care, but I do know that the Melty Blood games are really fun, and it hasn't had a new game in a long ass time. So this game getting announced was sick. Problem was, well, upon its initial release, it was only announced for consoles, so no PC version. And my friend and I both were dreading this because we thought that it was because that they hate Tsukihime. They thought it was because that the main developer hates mods and doesn't like PC as a result of them, which is the French bred, the Under Night In-Birth developers, for those who don't know. And they make this game. And we were like, oh, fuck, they're not going to get PC our way. But no, turns out it probably might have just been, again, because PC is not as popular in Japan, they might have just, when they first announced it during that very Japan-focused reveal, they just didn't talk about the PC version. It happened as well with Strive, actually, where during the Japanese reveal of the game's release, they just didn't mention Steam at all, but then you went on the main page and Steam was there. So yeah, we are in fact getting this game on PC, which is great because I really like Melty Blood. This game looks to be pretty faithful as far as Melty Blood is concerned. It's not going to be a complete revision of mechanics like something like Strive was, or not revision is maybe a wrong word for that game, but point is, it's going to be more faithful to the more similar. That's I guess the word I should use, to the original games than Strive was to Guilty Gear, and that's good for me because I personally am not really vibing with Strive right now. So I'm all for a good anime game with rollback. I've been waiting for one that I enjoy, and this might finally be it. You know, gladly play this especially as long as my girl with the giant what does she have? She has like a giant missile on her right arm. Fucking love that character. She's so fun to play. Hell yeah, dude. This game is sick. These are really fun fighting games, and the fact that they will actually have good netcode now, and hopefully a lobby system that isn't trash like Strive's as well. I hope it just has like a search function, dude. Just like you hit play and it just matches you. God, if just having that alone would make it such a better experience than Strive. make you actually able to appreciate the netcode. Also, just shout out to the fact that they still do sprite work, dude, and it still looks great. You know, 3D looks fantastic, especially in the Guilty Gear games. Don't get me wrong, but it's just, look at this. Isn't this nice to see? You know, makes my inner weeb happy. I don't know, dude. Fucking great. Can't wait for this fucking game. It comes out, when's it come out again? September or something? Scroll back up. September 30th. So not too far away, but not exactly close either. I can't wait, dude. I hope I like this more than I liked Strive. I feel like that's more or less guaranteed. We'll see. I don't know. But I hope the character roster isn't too diminished. You know? It is an ArcSys port, or actually no, it's not ArcSys, is it? Technically? Because it's French bred, but who usually publishes their games? It's usually Red Axis or Red something. No, not Red. Axis or something usually publishes these games. Not actually Arc Systems, so their DLC practices won't be as scummy, hopefully. Yeah, you know, I don't know, we'll see. I hope they just don't do the ArcSys thing where they just hold back a bunch of characters before launch, you know, so they can roll them out over the next couple of months, because I hate that. We'll see though. This game looks fun, and I'm really glad it's coming to PC because now I can play it with my friends. Hopefully it has crossplay too. I don't think they've mentioned that yet, but here's hoping. It's based on the Tsukihime reboot, so the roster is likely to be pretty small. I just want my girl with the arm, bro. That's all I want. As long as I have her, I'll be happy. But I'll also play as Frying Pan Maid. Or just like girl in shirt. They're so dull, but there's something I love about them because they feel like so. The character designs are right out of like this very specific era of anime that I watched. It was like late 90s, early 2000s. You can just tell from like the hairstyles and the eyes. You know, you always can tell from the eyes. The way the eyes are drawn always like symbolizes that era. You know. Anyway, yeah, this game looks great. I'm looking forward to it. You know what else I'm looking forward to? More re-releases. No. Castlevania Advanced Collection, rated in Australia, update also rated for PC in Korea. So, for those who don't know, Castlevania had a re-release in the form of the first 4 games, I want to say, in the Anniversary Collection. So, Castlevania 1, 2, 3, and Super Castlevania 4. And that was a great port, for the most part. The one thing that kind of sucked about it at first was that they were based off the NES versions of the games and not the Famicom Disk System, which meant that you lost some of the higher quality audio that came with the Disk System. But, thankfully, they actually patched it later to include the Japanese versions of those games, which was just like a fucking... They didn't have to do that, man. So it was really cool when they did. It was a free update, and it was awesome, and made playing those games... It made the definitive collection, basically, right? Which was just nice. That's a really fun port collection of really, really amazing games. And similarly, it looks like we're going to be getting the Game Boy Advance era Castlevania games, which are more on the side of Symphony of the Night style clones, Metroidvania style games, which are also considered to be amazing. I never really gave Metroidvania, I should say, when I say Metroidvania, I mean games like Symphony of the Night. I don't mean just any game that's like Metroid, because it doesn't make any sense to me personally, but I'll just call them Metroid games at that point. But I never gave Metroidvania specifically that much of a shot. I've always been more of a Metroid guy, specifically, but I am definitely willing to try, because I always hear the glories of Symphony of the Night, right? I just always preferred classic-vania style 2D action, which is why I was always really disappointed that they went the Metroid route. But I should really, again, give them a proper try, and I hope this collection is an opportunity for me to do so, assuming it's actually real. It seems to be real, but we don't actually know. But I hope it's of the same quality and has the same care that the Anniversary Collection had, because if it does, we're fucking in there. Hell yeah, brothers. All right. I don't really have a segue for this, so I'm just going to go to it. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC character Kazuya Mishima launches June 29th. So he's already out, basically. So yeah, the next DLC character for Smash got a release date, and it was June 29th. He came out. We got a nice little video about it from Sakurai. These videos are always just a lot of fun, because it's just Sakurai geeking out over some old games he used to play, you know? He has an extensive moveset in this game. They really tried to include everything. And I like that, like, this little segment he had where he's talking about the design philosophy of a game like Tekken versus a game like Smash Brothers, you know? Like right here, he says it's a game, Smash Brothers by comparison, it's a game about location, where Tekken is a game about closing the distance or something like that. I'm probably paraphrasing a bit too much, but it was a really fun conversation. I just liked hearing him talk. I always like hearing Sakurai talk about this stuff. It's a rare opportunity just to hear a Japanese game developer just go off about game design these videos, because it's just him nerding out for like a half hour, right? We also got some Mii fighters in this announcement. Where is it? We got Lloyd. He was already in Mii Fighter costume in one of the previous ones. And then we got Dante. This... All I know is fucking pain, dude. This one sucked. I personally never really needed Dante in the game. I've been content with the roster of these games for a while, right? But seeing fucking Dante get snuffed like this, and Shantae, for those who care about that, it's just, at least give him the Mii costumes that look as good as the Sans and Cuphead costume. I don't know why they're the only ones that get like those immaculately taken care of helmets, you know? Like the bodies for both these characters look fine, but like they don't get the cool fucking hats that like make their faces not be a Mii face. Like, I think though ideally all of these Mii fighters just wouldn't actually have the Mii faces. They would just be a collection of costumes, right, with preset movesets. That would be fine. But every time they include the Mii fighter outfit, I mean the face, it ruins it, you know? It wouldn't hurt as much, but whatever. We don't know who the last character is going to be, but we do know it's going to be the last character for Ultimate. I haven't really played this game a lot. I don't think I even played the last DLC character just because the online's bad and it sucks trying to play my friends with it, you know? And yeah, it's still not my favorite Smash game either. That probably still goes to Project M or... Yeah, I think Project M is probably my favorite Smash Brothers game to play, but you know, that game got erased from existence, thanks Nintendo. So, it'd be like that. Other than that, Kazuya looks really fun, and he has a fucking Kiryu outfit, color for one of his outfits. I don't know if he shows it here, but he has like the exact same color scheme for like his inner shirt and his jacket as Kiryu Kazuma, the Dragon of Dojima from Yakuza. So that's pretty hype. I might play him, pick up the game and play him just for that. It looks like he might have a steep learning curve though, but I always like how unique these DLC characters are. Next door. All right, so we got a release date for these Pixel remasters. The remaster series is going to be launching beginning in July, right? So it's going to start like just releasing them on Steam and mobile, starting from FF1, then FF2, then FF3, and they all have their Steam pages open. Here's the thing that interests me most about this, though. We finally got to see what the actual... I did not mean to do this. I apologize. We finally got to see what the actual Pixel remaster even means. And here's what it means. Basically, they redid all of the pixel art. Instead of like trying to add some shitty filter over it, like they've done with their previous re-releases of these games, they redid the pixel art. So this is not the original art from FF1. This is not the original art from FF... What is this? I think 5 or 3? One of those two? 5. It's from 5. So they redid like all this art. This is FF3, Onion Knight. And it looks cute. It looks good. Like when you look at this art, it's like there's a what's her face. It looks good, and it doesn't have the shitty filter over it like the other game did, which is good. Like those other re-releases, I mean. Problem I have is I'm not convinced that the sprite work is as detailed as the original sprites. Like for example here, right? Let's go look up. I think that we're gonna see Terra's sprite here pretty soon from FF6, right? There's actually no, we'll just use FF4 guy here for a second. I don't know how I'm forgetting his name, but that's the FF4 protagonist. FF4 sprites. We'll look up the original sprites, and we'll do like a quick little comparison here to see what was changed. You know, that's a battle sprite, so that might not work. Actually, I think we'll just wait for Terra. 1 second. Should be right here. There's is that supposed to be Lot? Or Locke? No, that's him. Okay. Actually, this is perfect. All right, there he is. All right. Sorry, so you see him. I think his name's Locke. He's from FF6. I haven't played this game enough, honestly. I apologize. But, so, to explain... First, let's explain why those previous re-releases were so fucking garbage, right? Here's a good image explaining it. Where do I put this? Here we go. So, I just want this image, bro. I just want this image, bro. All right, here we go. So here you have the original sprite on the left, right? That's what Terra looks like in the original SNES sprite. Then you have the remake. And this is what it looks like. It looks fucking awful, right? It looks... I can see what they're trying to go for, but whatever it is, it just doesn't hit, you know? It just doesn't come across well, and it also has this shitty 4x, as you can see here. It has like all these shitty filters over it to try to smooth the edges, and it makes it look 10 times fucking worse than it would by itself, you know? Even if I didn't like the artwork, at least maybe it would kind of be preserved to some degree, but then nope, they also did this shit and added like all this crappy filter shit all over it, and that's what it looks like on like the phone re-releases, for example, right? And it's garbage, and I hate it. Everyone else should too. So when you get to compare it to what we see in this game, or in this re-release, right? You can kind of see Terra right at the top there, right? It's more fateful, but it's different. And the colors are different. There seems to be less like, you see how like there's not as much like little tiny white sprites on the hair to symbolize like a gloss. Instead, it's like, it's more detailed, or rather there's more of like a gradient, which is what the original sprite was going for. So I guess in that sense, it's successful. I'm just not convinced that it necessarily looks better than the original sprite art. You know what I mean? It's tough. I don't know. I think the FF1 art all looks much better than the original one. But that's because FF1 looked kind of shit. You know, it was like a very early NES game. I don't know if it was early necessarily, but it wasn't new. You know, I mean, it wasn't old basically. So the game was old, but you get what I mean. The NES wasn't old when it came out, so it looks kind of shit. So the new one being like good doesn't surprise me. But like when it comes to like the later SNES games where pixel art was at its like peak, I'm just not convinced it's actually going to look better. It's also going to be having combat changes and redone music as overseen by the original composer, which is very important here. But that's all left to be seen if it's actually good. I will say, though, it's a better attempt than what they've done with the shitty filtering as exemplified before. So we take those, you know, I'll take that as a victory. But, well, you know, we'll have to wait and see. I think I am going to try these when they come out, though. I might even stream them because FF1's not that long if you know what you're doing. It's one of the only FF games I beat. Wait, did I beat it? I thought I beat it. Did I? I don't actually remember. I feel like I got like right to the end and I might have just gave up or something. I don't know. I'll beat it this time though, because I do like the original FF game. So don't play 2. 2 is bad. Well, maybe they'll make 2 good. No, they won't. It's fundamentally bad. But yeah, the first 3 are coming out on July 28th. So actually, you know, I'll probably be busy playing Neo the World's End with you, because that's coming around the same time. I don't know. Anyway, that's the FF7, or excuse me, not FF7, excuse me. The FF1 to 6 pixel remasters. They look good, but I'm not convinced that they look better, is my problem. And it's still yet to be seen if the music's any better. I feel like that'll probably be good, but we'll see. All right, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this stream, baby. So, we're going to be talking about Sony for a bit. It's going to be a big Sony roundup, so everyone hold on to your shorts, because it's going to be a while, and it's going to be a lot of, not bashing, but Sony had a both good and bad week this week, basically, because they made a lot of interesting decisions, and some people made a lot of interesting posts about them, right? So first thing we're going to talk about is their acquisitions. So they bought out the studio that made Returnal. Oh, this man doesn't have any bread? That's depressing. We don't have any bread. Sony was considered to have a considerable lack of first-party studios compared to Microsoft now that they bought a bunch of studios, right? So a lot of fans I saw on Twitter were campaigning for Sony to start buying out studios themselves, and that's what they've started doing. They just bought out the studio to Returnal here called Housemarque. Now, Housemarque, it was a pretty guaranteed buy. It kind of reminds me of when Microsoft bought the people who make Forza, where I'm just like, oh, you didn't actually already own them? That's surprising, because you basically only ever make games for them, you know? Exclusive games, I mean. So that's not surprising, and I would say they're a pretty good developer from what I can tell. But what confuses me about this is that they're not the type of developer that makes really big budget games like Sony seems to only care about anymore. And that's weird, because I mean, Returnal was kind of supposed to be that, or at least it was marketed as that. But then when anyone played the game, they'll tell you it's not a big AAA budget game. It just was priced and marketed as one by Sony. So, yeah, I mean, it is one of the few PS5 exclusives that actually looks like really compelling right now. That's actually out right now, I should say. So, I think this is a good buy, but it's kind of confusing to me because, well, it's not that confusing to me. It's just, I'm not sure if it's going to make waves the way I think they'd want it to, and also I'm not convinced. I'm kind of thinking that maybe, I mean, I guess there's no reason not to buy them, right? But I just kind of, I was kind of holding out hope that maybe this studio would try to experiment with other platforms too, you know? I don't like seeing a studio bought out typically in general because it's usually not a good thing for that studio, though it can be. It's not impossible for them being bought out to be a bad thing. In fact, Sony themselves seems to be trying to experiment with, well, I mean, not other platforms, PC at least, so I guess I don't have to worry too much about that. But yeah, they bought Housemarque. I don't have much else to say about behind that other than not surprising. What was a little bit more and also a little bit less at the same time surprising was that they also might have bought out Bluepoint, but we don't know. This was when they posted about their acquisition of Housemarque, they posted this image by accident, the "Welcome to the Family Bluepoint Games" image, right? And that was a bit of a goof. What baffles me, though, if this is true, is they dismantled and not fired, but allowed everyone that worked at Japan Studio to retire or quit, right? And Japan Studio are the people who are responsible for games like Shadow of the Colossus, Bloodborne, and Demon Souls, right? But they helped with those latter two, but they were also had a big development. They helped a lot basically with them, so those games would not have been made without Japan Studio. And Bluepoint, those games I would say had pretty, favorable reception, right? But they didn't necessarily all sell amazingly well. Like Demon Souls sold surprisingly well to the point Dark Souls got made, but Dark Souls was the real big seller, right? But then you have Bluepoint come along and remake those games, and they have overall favorable responses, but I would say that their response from diehard fans was a bit more questionable. I'm still in the camp of I don't think that Bluepoint's remakes visually, at the very least, captured what those original games were going for at all. And it's... So as a result, I don't really like those remakes, honestly, all too much. But why would you dismantle the studio who made the original versions of those games, but only to hire the people who remade them to a less overall positive reception? That's what confuses me, right? The people who made those original beloved games are being told to go fuck off, but the people who remake them, that's who you hire? Like what are they gonna do? They're not gonna... I mean, they could make their own game, I suppose, and maybe that's why they bought them. They potentially, I should say, bought them out. But if you're just gonna keep hiring them to remake games, wouldn't it be more, I don't know, like advantageous to invest in people who actually come up with these original concepts rather than just remaking old ones? I mean, that's just my opinion. And it's obviously coming from the opinion of someone who doesn't really like what Bluepoint's done with remakes. I've loved their remaster work in the past, and I would have preferred that they stayed a third-party studio to continue doing that. But it seems like they're gonna, if this is true at least, that seems like they're gonna buy them out just so they can have them keep remaking stuff, and that's not really what I want for them, and that's not really what I want for the games that they're remaking either. So this is a bit of a more bummer note for me personally. Well, not that they're being bought out per se, but I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about it. I guess I just don't. I don't have that strong of an opinion about it, but I just have a strong opinion about PlayStation's work with Bluepoint. And to me, it hasn't really been all that successful. So I don't think if spending the money on Blue Point to make sure that they can only make games for you was necessarily the most worthwhile idea. But they did make one of the only PS5 launch exclusives, so I guess they have a good relationship, right? So it makes sense. But Sony wasn't done this week with that. No. They also just recently announced that they acquired Nix Software. Nixis? I don't know how to pronounce it. Now, you may be wondering, who the fuck is Nix Software? I sure as shit didn't know. As it turns out, Nix Software is responsible for a bunch of PC ports for Square Enix games in particular, such as Marvel's Avengers, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, etc., etc., etc. So this is basically them confirming that they hired the studio. I presume they just bought out the studio specifically so they could to port games to PC, because they have been doing that more lately, right? In fact, I'm surprised that the Ghost of Tsushima announcement that we'll get into in just a second wasn't also followed up with a PC announcement. But yeah, that seems to be the main reason that they bought this studio, because that's what the studio is known for, is for working on PC versions. So I imagine that they want to continue to invest in this because, much like with their strategy of releasing PS4 versions of games, the PS5 exclusive software isn't selling too hot right now because of the scalper problem and the availability problems still rampaging the industry right now, right? So this is their solution, I suppose, and they bought out the studio to help them do that. So makes sense. Again, I don't really have that strong of an opinion on it, but that's what they did. And I'm all for games coming to a platform I prefer. So, hey, I'm for it. Now, here's where we get into more controversial stuff. So, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut was announced. Cool. Here's the problem. This Director's Cut will cost $69.99 on PS5 and $59.99 on PS4. What is different between these two versions that warrants this price difference? I have no idea, and I couldn't really find out because they seem to have the same amount of content, just that the PS4 version is a PS4 game and the PS5 version is a PS5 game. I'm assuming this price bump here at $69.99 is Sony's way of trying to still make money off of next-gen versions while still re-releasing old games, right? Because if it's backwards compatible, you can't just re-release the game again for $60 like they did with Last of Us, right? They have to, either cut the price of the game down or, Actually, no, you can't even do that because then they would just buy the. Yeah, you kind of just have to do this, I guess. And plus, Sony is trying to make this $69.99 thing a standard. In my opinion, does anyone like? How do I put this? Does anyone find this acceptable? I owned a PS5 for not a very long amount of time, but I did not like having to pay this much for a game, right? The only game I spent this amount of money on was technically for Demon's Souls, and that was a remake of a PS3 game with the same exact gameplay of that PS3 game. So it felt kind of stupid, honestly, when I did it, and it was part of the reason I don't own one anymore. And I think this is just being rejected by the market, and Sony is just kind of refusing to accept that rejection because no other studio is doing this right now because they know they can't. Because people don't even like spending this much for a new game. You really think they're going to spend $69.99? Exactly, right? And another example was with Returnal, which we spoke about earlier. That game was $69.99, I believe, right? And the developers of that game recently came out and were like, we didn't know it was going to be that much. That shouldn't be that much, right? Or they didn't say it shouldn't be that much, but they clearly had a different price in mind, is what they implied when they were designing the game. Because it's not really a $70 game. It's just, by comparison, at the very least. What a game's cost is kind of... I don't really like to judge games by their cost too much because it's always subjective anyway, the amount of time and value you get out of a game, right? It's just that Sony thinks that their games in particular are worth $79.99, and I don't know if I agree with that. at least personally. And I don't think their push to have all of their exclusive titles be this amount is necessarily a smart idea, because it's going to only worsen your software sale problem, with the PS5. Part of the reason software doesn't really sell that well on the PS5 right now is not just because of the scalper problem, though that's probably the main reason. One of the reasons is definitely this fucking price tag on all of the exclusive games for it, It's off-putting, and Demon's Souls, as a result, didn't really chart when it came out and still hasn't since, and it's not really surprising when you see this shit, Especially since when the PS4 version is $69.99, like, what is the difference other than like frame rate and like the technology that's... Let me put it this way: what is extra work is being done on the PS5 version that justifies that price jump? I'm not convinced there's a lot. I mean, Director's Cut is coming to both versions. This isn't a PS5 exclusive release, And what makes this all the worst is the upgrade situation. Unlike with Xbox, Sony's PS4 to PS5 upgrade situation is a fucking nightmare. By comparison, at the very least. It's not as bad as I just made it out to be. But by comparison, with Xbox, where you can just put something in and it just fucking works because of their smart access system. As you can read here, users who purchase the PS4 version will be able to upgrade to the PS5 version for $9.99. And users who already own Ghost of Tsushima for PS4 will be able to upgrade to the PS4 version of the Director's Cut for $19.99, or the PS5 version for $29.99. A similar shit show happened with the Spider-Man re-releases, where it was all this like weird pricing just on just trying to upgrade the fucking game, right? We had to have like a fucking flow chart of like what you got based off and what upgrades you got based off what you owned. It was a fucking nightmare, dude. And it's the same thing here. So again, as iterated, if you buy this PS4 version, you have to spend the extra $10 to upgrade to the PS5 version, because they don't want to lose on this extra $10 difference, right? But if you already own Ghost of Tsushima, they want you to spend $30 for the PS5 upgrade or $20 for the PS4 upgrade. Which is... I mean, like, I guess, like, with the PS4 versions, like, here, you can just spend $20 instead of buying the whole game again, right? If you just have a PS4. So, like, I'm not really upset by this, I guess, but it's more just I don't get why they're priced differently. I think that's my main problem. And the fact that it's not just a free upgrade, this Director's Cut release for those who already bought the game, I mean, do you not get any value? I guess the game's been out for too long, but do you not get any value by just going, like, hey, by the way, this is the, how do I put this? I don't know. I just know when I look at this, my head spins and I think it's a mess. Basically, I don't think it's neat, and I don't think it's tidy. And I think the way that they're doing this upgrade shit is not as helpful to their circumstances as I think they think it is. PS5 exclusive features. Experience with both PS4 and PS5 will experience the Iki Island. Have access to a few additional new features. Lack of Japanese lip sync in the original version. What? The Japanese lip sync is exclusive to the PS5 version? Thanks to the PlayStation 5's ability to render cinematics in real time, cutscenes in Ghost of Tsushima on Iki Island on PlayStation 5 will now offer lip sync. Why would this matter? Why would the PlayStation 5's ability to render cinematics in real time matter? If the cinematics are pre-rendered on PS4, couldn't you just record the cutscene and then render it with the Japanese lip sync for the PS4 version? Doesn't make any fucking sense. We'll take advantage of the haptic feedback. Oh, and you get the controller features. Again, like, that's stuff that comes with the console, with that version of the game regardless. I mean, I would think. Right? Unless they're saying them programming the controller features are worth an extra $10 per copy, which, I mean, maybe it might be. I don't fucking know, dude. All I know is that this is fucking weird. Yeah. I don't know. This was the first piece of bad news from Sony this week, though. There's more. Oh. There's more. Ba-dum. I apologize if this is a Kotaku article. It's all I could find. um, it was either this or IGN. You didn't want either. So, PlayStation is hard to work with, Dev says. Now, this title is a bit clickbaity, obviously, but what? Oh, whoops! I cut it off. There we go. But what they're actually saying is, PlayStation's is hard to work with for indie devs, is what they're trying to say. So basically, someone on Twitter recently posted like a rant where they not so subtly hinted that if you're an indie developer working with PlayStation, you have a very fucking hard time being able to communicate with them, being able to get your game seen on their store, and basically being able to do fucking anything, right? Basically, Sony does not treat indie developers with much care, is what what that person was trying to say, because it makes their storefront is a fucking joke, which it is. I don't know if any of you have ever used the PlayStation 5. I mean, Lockstrick, you said you got a PS5 recently. That fucking store, maybe it's just me, in my opinion, but I think that store is fucking terrible. And I remember not liking the store on the PS4 either, but it somehow got worse with the update. And they removed the ability to use the store on PC, I think, or at least they're trying to. And they also changed how it worked on PC anyway, so now that's also worse on there. But that used to be the one Safe Haven, was the PC website store, so you can actually look up something, it would appear in the fucking on the fucking search, and you could download it. Whereas that wouldn't even work half the time back when I had a PS4. And on the PS5, they made the store even more fucking worse. It didn't even have like a wish list when it first launched, I don't think. And it's just so hard just to search for something and just to find like a category of something. Like the amount of categories, like you kind of can see a glimpse of it here. It's so limited, and it only ever shows big budget stuff, which is what that guy was saying. Basically, indie games and smaller games in general don't sell as well as the PlayStation platform, because PlayStation just seems to not care about them. They don't advertise them as much. They don't promote them as much. And the same was true even as far back as when they were doing E3 conferences with stuff like Persona 5 and Gravity Rush 2 not getting, despite being exclusive titles, big Japanese exclusive titles, one of which was made by Japan Studio, they didn't even get more than a couple seconds each at their E3 show. And it just kind of shows where Sony's priorities lie now, you know? It just kind of confirms something we already know, I guess, or at least I thought I already knew or suspected in a lot of ways, which is Sony doesn't really care about the little guy anymore. They are entirely focused on these big budget projects, right? Which is fine for those who like them. I personally don't, but it is fine for those who like them. What I don't get, though, is you gotta respect your indies, man. Not just your big third-party developers, but you know, like the people who make stuff like Celeste and stuff like that. They can be huge successes if you let them, you know? And those developers, if they don't get any sales off of your platform, they're going to stop using it, and they're just going to focus on PC and Switch, which are the most popular ones for indies, and even just last resort go to Xbox, because apparently Xbox, because of stuff like Game Pass and their UI, their storefront, which isn't great either, but it's certainly better. It promotes more of those types of games. You know, it makes them more be able to be seen, and which is the main problem, right? He mentioned other things too, just like how being able to talk with them was fucking, like, you got fucking no response. Here's another interesting quote. Christian Botev, indie developer and publisher of Those Awesome Guys, did the same, showing a whopping 91.5% on Steam, 7.6%, I can't read, on Switch, with 0.6% on Xbox and 0.3% on PlayStation. Another publisher who wished to remain anonymous told us the exact same told us some exact sales figures for one small indie release they named, but asked us to withhold. The game sold around 20,000 copies on Xbox compared to just 7,000 on PlayStation. However, when it came to releasing DLC, the Microsoft console saw 20,000 units shipped, while on Sony, this is not a fucking joke, until today, 7. Holy fucking shit, 7. Yeah. In a now deleted tweet, another independent developer wrote, "Yep, go try to find my game on PlayStation without typing it in. This was a common refrain from those responding to the Garner's original thread that the PlayStation just doesn't have a sensible way of letting newly released games prominently appear, while both Xbox and Switch have immediately obvious sections devoted to them. That's another thing. They used to have that on the PS4 store, but on PS5 it's fucking gone, and PS4 kind of like slowly started to hide it away. I never really got their store design. It's never been good, and it's always been the fucking worst. All the console stores have always been behind something like Steam, but you can't keep just designing your store to work in, like, look at this shit. All PS5 games and all shit. It's just like this giant obnoxious fucking list, and it's so hard to like sort it by like just genre or something, you know? Like, as if it weren't already difficult enough to find. When you find a way to sort by new releases, it's filled with unreleased games. Screenshot Sony. Oh my god, dude. When I ask any of these industry figures what is it that Microsoft and Nintendo does better, the answer is always the same: communication. It helps every part of the process. One indie publisher tells me of Microsoft's quick responses. Eric Freeman, the independent developer of Deja Vu, tells me over Twitter, besides their cut for sales, we've never been asked for money, and everyone on the ID at Xbox team have been incredibly nice and responsive. He went on to detail how Microsoft has repeatedly invited them to be in sales, making the process simple. Heck, they invite you to shows. Another publisher tells me they not only invite you if you are already popular, they try to invite quality games no matter if you know them already. And Game Pass is a thing, and it offers good value. Meanwhile, communication with Sony is reportedly extraordinarily difficult. Ragnar, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, of indie developer Red Thread Games tweeted his frustrations. We're a pretty established developer of proven track record, but honestly, I have no idea who to even contact, to make console sales happen. It's like trying to be heard in a vacuum of space. If I literally can't speak to someone at a platform about an issue, agrees publisher over Discord, and the issue goes on for weeks, it just creates problems. Of course, things aren't all sunshine on the other platforms, but the central message was that things are significantly worse for indies with Sony. We learned some very odd details, like how Nintendo prevents developers from rolling out patches larger than 200 megabytes without special permission. That's fucking weird. But in general, while no one thought that anywhere was close to ideal, people are much happier with the experience in sales on Microsoft and Nintendo consoles, and of course Steam. So yeah, I'm not going to read much more into it, but I think you get the idea. That was an interesting, like, 1-2 punch of good information to happen with Sony lately, you know? I've already kind of said my piece about PlayStation, Sony multiple times. I'm not really happy with their current state of affairs, and they don't really... But most of all, they just don't make games that appeal to me. So any stuff like this that happens, it's more just like... I was already probably not going to pick up one anyway, but yeah, this... if you just want my opinion as someone who's like onlooking, right, to the other platforms, I think this kind of stuff is stupid. I think indies are low-key some of the most important developers out there, and they should be treated as such. All that aside, though, let's move on to the final section of the news today, and that is Famitsu Sales, baby. Speaking of sales, sometimes poor sales. We're going to be tackling 2 different weeks because I was absent for so long. Again, apologize for that. But there's one main takeaway from them, which I kind of posted in the headline here. So this is for June 14th to June 20th, right? The top software sales are kind of to be expected. Game Builder, 31,000, proven a new unique Nintendo IP, which is proven to have some legs. Nothing too new there, right? It's mostly dominated by Nintendo Switch as usual. Ratchet and Clank still holding out in there, in the top 17, the only PS5 games on here. God bless. PS4 version of Village, again, it's holding on. It's doing okay. Other than that, nothing too special or noteworthy, I don't think. No new games on this list, you might have noticed, actually, as well. What was most interesting, though, is the hardware sales. So Switch and Switch Lite do fantastic, not surprising. PS5 doing a lot better than it has in the past, like, hell knows how many months, you know. Still not great numbers, but hell of a lot better, especially considering that there's no software that really appeals to Japan that's exclusive to PS5 right now. These numbers are actually pretty decent. But you see this? What the fuck? This fucking had me shook when I read this. The Xbox Series X did 3,000 units in Japan that week. That's crazy. What the hell? Now, obviously, those numbers aren't good for a brand new platform. But for a nation that usually does not know this platform exists, that's surprising to me. You know, I just want to give a little golf clap for that, because they've been trying really hard to get into the Japanese market, despite the fact that companies like PlayStation seem more interested in abandoning it, right? Because they know that it's still a valuable nation. I mean, look at this shit, right? I think everyone would benefit for having shit like this every week. But, holy shit, dude. They actually got, like, the Series consoles were selling lower than 2DS before this week. And suddenly just, I guess it's because it's the start of the summer, right? That you're seeing a lot more higher sale numbers or something like that. I don't really know. But this is a significantly higher sales percentage increase than I ever expected. For Xbox in Japan specifically. So a little golf clap for that. A golf clap to, of course, PlayStation for starting to do better too. But just PlayStation doing better in Japan isn't surprising. What is surprising is this. Again, this isn't great numbers. This isn't where I'd want where Phil probably wants Xbox to be in this nation still. But it's way better than they've been in a very long time. And you can actually see this trend continue from the 21st to the 27th. As far as software goes, again, nothing too substantial here. New Mario game sells well. New Samurai Warriors game sells well. I'm very shook. The PS4 version sells more than the Switch version. That's not too surprising, considering that the game probably runs like shit on the Switch. Game Builder continues to have legs. I'm shook. Scarlet Nexus sells well on last gen because no one's gonna buy that shit on the PS5. Though it actually did make it in the while doing half as well, it did make it into the top 10. So there you go. That shows that more people are getting their hands on PS5s at least, right? Someone must be at least. Ring Fit Adventure continues to have legs. That game is fantastic. It deserves it. This is I don't know what this is. Apparently it's new. A lot of new releases on the top 10 this week, which is nice. You know, I like to see new games actually do well. So this is a nice change of pace. Again, mostly Nintendo Switch, but a little bit more variety. PS4, and PS5. Look at that, you know. But if we go down to hardware sales again. Look at this! And look at this! PlayStation 5 did better and Xbox did a little bit worse than it did last week, but the Series S also did a lot better this week, right? And I have to reiterate, the Series X once again outsold the PS4. Everyone's numbers here this week is fucking fantastic. Again, there's clearly a lot of sales being bumped up from what I presume to be, just summer starting, right? People getting out of school. But fucking crazy that these numbers are actually... Like, the Series X is doing comparable numbers to per week to the PS5 Digital Edition in Japan, right? Which isn't that surprising because it's a digital version. No, people in Japan like to use discs, and I don't blame them. But fucking wild, right? In fact, if you combine the Series X and Series S sales, it's still over 3,000. In fact, over 4,000 actually. It's an upward trend is all I'm trying to say, right? And that's great because competition is always fantastic. You don't want to see this every single week. You really don't, because what that means is that Nintendo can get away with whatever they want. You want to see this climb up, you want to see this climb up. so that these people can fight with these people, and these people can fight with these people, and everyone can keep everyone in line, right? That's the ideal situation here. Plus, Xbox, this is just a feel-good story for me because they've worked so fucking hard to try to make it in this nation that I just like to see people get their hard work rewarded, you know? It's just a natural thing when it comes to me. Aside from that, though, nothing else to really comment on. They still clearly have a long way to go, especially since there's never any software sales from an Xbox game on here. I presume everyone buying it is either just, like... maybe someone in the military or all of them are buying it because of Game Pass, which is possible. Game Pass is an extraordinary deal. So if it's working out for them, whatever they're doing, they better keep doing it because someone needs to humble Nintendo in this nation, and PlayStation is doing better, but it would be nice to have Xbox as a good backup, you know? All right. And with that, that's the end of the news this week. That was a fun little chill session. It's good to be back, lads. It's good to be back, man. Again, I'm sorry I disappeared for a while there. I had a lot of like family stuff. A lot of family came down for some birthdays, and like that thing with. Do I even bring this up? I guess I probably should. My Oshi, my Kaicho, Kiryu Coco graduating really, really fucking hit harder than I thought it would, you know? And it's stupid because I know where she's going and how to see her again, you know, and to continue to enjoy her work. But it's just... that character dying, you know, is just a fucking tragedy to me. Because we're not dying per se, but you know what I mean. Because it resulted in so much joy for both me and all the Hollow members, you know. So that got me bummed out, and if I sound dehydrated right now, it's because I cried a lot this fucking past couple of days, which is a bit lame to admit, but it's true. That's why I sound like this, sort of. I think I got it all out of my system, though. Also, me fucking up my hand didn't help with me showing up, either. I'm tired of thinking of excuses why I didn't show up, though. Yeah, it doesn't feel... It hits different, man. It really does. It's, I mean, if you know where to find her, but it's, yeah, it's just... Like, when during her final stream, dude, when they were reading the letters with the 4th gen members, it's just fucked me up so bad, dude. I was so fucked up from that shit. I was a fucking mess when Kanata started crying and shit, man. It was just... Please remember, as she said, to keep supporting them, because they're hurting just as much as she is, you know, from this. In fact, Coco wanted to do this, so we have to respect that decision, but it doesn't mean that the other members were happy with it, you know what I mean? They were probably deeply, in fact, it's not probably, they clearly were deeply saddened by it just as much as we were, so. It's a big old family over there, and you gotta let them mourn and support them through it, you know? It fucked me up, basically. That's part of the reason why I was gone, dude. I also really wanted to work on stuff for her new form, or old form, I guess, but... Yeah, okay. Stay positive, fuck it, like she says, you know, gotta look good for our Oshis, bros, whether they're here or not. Gotta look nice and tough and strong. I'm gonna peace out for tonight. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be back with some more Kingdom Hearts, though. I'm gonna play some more card game Kino, as it's called. I'm gonna start working on the thumbnail probably early tomorrow and set up the stream. Until then, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for joining me with some more epic game news. This is as fun as always for me. It's just nice for me to just talk, you know, and then see other responses and information in the chat. It's always fun. Love you all very much. Hope you all stay safe, and God bless, man. God bless you all. Treasure who you have while you got them, bros. Good night, lads. Jana, bye-bye.